Hey everyone, welcome back to the third episode in the series of building a trading bot in Python. The last episode was looking at the process of how to build a trading bot in Python, and one bit we talked about there was about choosing a platform, and this is what this episode is about. So we're looking at the tools to build a trading bot in Python. If you haven't seen the last video, make sure to check it out as we discuss a few bits about this, and so it would be great to see that before this one. So let's get into the video. Today we're going to be discussing 6 different platforms to run your trading algorithm off. These 2 at the bottom, we're just going to gloss over those ones, they don't really apply to us, and we're going to make some conclusions about which ones we're going to use in this series. So let's get into it. So the first platform we're going to look at is the oldest, most mature, most developed of them, and this is Quant Peon. It's a great platform. It's cloud-based, which means you can use their powerful backtesting computers. It's got lots of data coverage, and so they cover loads of different countries with historical data. And so it's really nice if you want to look into emerging markets or into UK rather than US. And another great thing about it is that it has competitions where you can win money, which is always a plus. If you have a great idea, a good strategy, then why not make some money out of it if you're not going to invest it? And it's got some great open source tools, which we will use a few of in the series. This isn't going to be our main platform though, because of one pretty vital part, in that they no longer support live trading, which is very sad. Yeah, it's a great platform. It's great for analysing strategies and factors, but unfortunately they no longer support live trading, which is quite a key part as we're looking to paper trade our portfolio. Another part is that we're locked into the ecosystem, which isn't as bad because the strategy itself doesn't really matter what language or what platform you're using, but it just means that it's not that transferable in the way that it works. But it's always very easy to learn from different platform to a different platform. It's all the same principles. So that's Quant Peon. Moving on to the next one is Quant Connect. So after Quant Peon, this is the next most mature. It's really well developed. It's also cloud-based, so you're getting that powerful computation with backtests. It means you can, on a laptop, in the cloud, run a backtest which will finish in a couple of minutes, rather than not being able to run it at all on your laptop, for example. It's got quite a few brokers which it supports, which is great for when you're live trading capital. And so obviously this is quite a big part. You can live trade with Quant Connect. Only problem is it does cost money to run a live server, so this point down here. However, if you're a student, it is free. And so it's usually $20 a month for a live trading server. That's even if you're paper trading, because it still needs to make the decisions. It just doesn't make the actual trades to the brokers. But as you can see here, it is free if you're a student. So it's a great resource because it's free if you're a student, which I'm assuming most of this audience is. And $20 a month, if you have a reasonable amount invested, could well be a cost which you can front. Another good part is the ability to run locally. So Quant Connect framework is known as Lean. This is a framework which you can download to your computer. The only problem is it is a bit of a complicated C# framework which you have to build. It's not all in Python, so it might be a bit of a pain to work on and to debug if you were to run it locally. Another part is that it's open source, which means it's got a great community behind it. Bug fixes are pretty quick, and all the other pluses from it being open source. Another thing, along with Quant Peon, is competitions. That's money, 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 if you don't want to invest. And it's got lots of data feeds. It doesn't have the same coverage as Quant Peon, but of course this data is live data, which is the most important part as we're going to be trading with up-to-date data. So, for example, it has US equities, it has commodity futures, Forex, data, and I think crypto data, which might be a nice avenue to pursue in the future. And so the essence of Quant Connect is that it's a marketplace for strategies. So let's say you've developed a strategy which has great returns, nice and low risk. You can then market your strategy at no risk to you on Quant Connect, and investors could therefore follow your strategy, follow the trades you're doing, and you could be paid a fee each month for that. So that's something you can consider if you were thinking about doing this a bit more professionally. This point isn't as applicable to us, as we're just going to be doing this for fun. Cons, so we went into the cost of running a live server, which doesn't apply to us if you're a student. The complicated local framework, we don't need to worry too much about that, as we're mainly going to be focusing on the algorithm, and you're locked into the ecosystem. As I said before with Quant Peon, not as much of a problem as we are just looking to develop the algorithm itself. Okay, so that's Quant Connect. So, moving on to the next one, Quantacts. I have to admit I hadn't heard of this one before I started researching for this video. First two I had heard of, Quantacts. I'm just going to start off with the con off the board, which is that it's unclear as to whether you can live trade with it. I think the main essence of the platform is essentially the same as Quant Connect, in that it's a marketplace for strategies, and it also offers competitions. So as you can see, it's still got US equities and commodity futures data feeds, we've got competitions, and you can run it locally. And so this isn't a platform we're going to use. We might have a look at it in the future, but it's not one that we're going to be using in this series. So then moving on to the next one, we have Backtrader. So Backtrader, unlike all of the other platforms, is a package rather than a platform. So what do I mean by that? So in the previous platforms, they've been running on the cloud. They've been more of a company running it, for example. So Quantacts and Quant Peon would market your strategies, and you would get fees for that. Backtrader, on the other hand, is essentially just a package of code which allows you to run locally your live trading server. So what are the benefits of running it locally? So you've got more control and visibility on what's actually happening with your bot. This allows for better debugging and just for more control. It's a lot more customizable. And so it's got this live trading ability, which is great. It's got good community and support behind it, as it's more of a project rather than a company platform. But the problems that we have is that there's no built-in data feeds. So as this is just a package of code, they just give it to you, and you have to give it the data and communicate with the broker yourself. So these are two points that we don't really want to have to deal that much with as we're looking just at the algorithm. A potential disadvantage of running it locally is that you may not have the equipment. So for example, you might need a lot of RAM if you're processing a lot of data. You may also be subject to downtime. So there may be a power cut in your area. Your computer may shut off, and what's going to happen then? Your trading bot's going to shut down, and it's not going to be able to make trades. Whereas with the cloud services that, for example, Quant Connect offers, they're going to have the measures in place in case of a power cut, or in case of the network going down. Similar things like that a company would have more structure around. So it's a lot more reliable to run on the cloud. So that makes Backtrader not really that applicable to us. So these last two, I'm just going to glance over them quickly. So Quan Rockets got loads of data, supports lots of different backtesting platforms. The con is it's super expensive. It's not applicable to us in any way. Software, you have to pay quite a bit a month. I can't remember the exact values, but then you also have to pay for your data separately. And then you also have to pay if you want support. Obviously, you may not need support. You may find data elsewhere, but still, it's something that we don't want to deal with. We don't want to be spending most of our time developing the infrastructure when we could be researching different alpha factors. And so to finish off, we have a very similar one to Backtrader. It's based all in Python, so that's nice. It's great to debug. It can live trade and it runs locally, so you can take advantage of your own systems, take more responsibility. But then again, we've got no data feeds, which is quite important because we don't want to have to be paying separately for live data. We don't want to have to be trying to integrate that into our bot. And so another point is that it's not as well developed, or it's got not as mature a community as, for example, Backtrader. So if you were looking for a local trading bot platform, I would go with Backtrader over Pi Algo Trade. So to finish off with what you've all been waiting for, Quant Connect is the platform that we're going to be using in this series. So the reasons that I chose it are that it's quite mature, quite well developed. It's in the cloud, which means it's great if we're just using our laptop, for example. It's got great live data feeds already integrated in, which will make it quite easy for us to just focus on developing our algorithm and strategy. And a lot of the framework is already set out for us that we won't have to delve into with that. So that's why I've chosen Quant Connect for this series. So on a final note, thank you for watching this video. I hope it's been informative about what platform might suit you, and you can see that we've ended up with Quant Connect as the one that we're going to use. So I've linked all of the different platforms in the description below if you'd like to check those out. We've stuck with Quant Connect as the platform that we're going to be using in this series. I think it suits the audience, it suits myself the most with regards to what we want to achieve with this. So make sure that you subscribe, turn on notifications to tune in for the rest of the series, and drop a like if you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful, and I look forward to see you in the next one.